Sorry, a bit of an impromptu video here. I'm on my way home from work for my night job. It's my early night, so I get off after 6 hours. So something happened with a coworker. Pretty much pissed him off, and then he kind of went off on me. But then I had to think about it, because it's just the way I reacted to something. Because like somebody was sending me a message, and I was like, "Yeah, man, I don't really give a fuck," because usually you're supposed to send out maintenance notifications of when things go down at my job beforehand, so we all could know, but nobody did that. So it's like, listen, if you don't tell me, then I won't know. And then there was no ticket in our ticketing system about it. So I was just like, man, yeah, I really don't give a fuck. And then he got mad, and I told him, I was like, listen, you don't even see the ticket in here that says there's a maintenance tonight in our ticketing system. But he's like, bro, you don't give a fuck. Just say you don't give a fuck. You don't care. And I'm like, but how am I going to care about something? They didn't really tell us, you know. It's like, so that's the situation, right? And I feel somewhat bad about it because, you know, I guess I could have handled that a little bit better. I could have said something a little bit nicer in a sense, or just said, hey, listen, man, yeah, you know, there's a maintenance. All right, cool. It's not there. I missed it. I didn't see these things going down because I was working on something else, which I was. So I'm looking at this stuff, and I'm like, I'm looking back at it and the way he reacted to it and how he felt about it, and, you know, how he got mad and everything like that. And I'm just thinking, usually you would, like, your reaction in a, I guess, less mature version of myself would have been like, man, fuck him, fuck this, so on and so forth. And I find myself just sitting back and thinking, nah, Mike, what did you do wrong? Does what happened and what, you know, what occurred between the two of us, the back and forth, like, because I just laughed it off. I was just like, all right, man, cool. All right, cool, you right, you cool, you right. Because I'm not going to get in a big old fight or anything about it. It's 1 o'clock, I'm getting off, you got to deal with it. Then okay, you just got to deal with it. Like, we all have to deal with shit that somebody else missed or something like that. Like, yo, you just deal with it. You know, like, that's happened to me before, and I've, like, you know, I've gotten mad about it, but then I'd be like, all right, cool, deal with it, knock it out, and just get it off like my plate. I ain't got to deal with it again. Or I ain't got to deal with it, like, probably take me about 30 minutes to clear up anything that really goes on at my night job. And then after that, you looking at another 11 and a half hours of usually not doing anything. So it's not a big deal to me. And the way I act at this job, I'm just indifferent because of things that has happened. And I'm like, I'm not going to care more about this stuff or more about this place than the people that own it and other people that work here. It doesn't make any sense. Why get mad? Why get worked up over it? And I'm looking at the whole situation, and I'm saying to myself, you know, I could just say, man, fuck this dude, write him off. Yo, he got mad at me, and that's, I could say all that. But then I got to remember the things that he's done for me in the past, covered for me at work. You know, we always talk about one or two things. So then now I just got to say, hey, listen, you know, if he comes back and says, hey, listen, you know, I'm not going to say sorry for what I did, because the only way I could get close to saying sorry is I meant everything I said. And if it made you feel a certain way or react that way, okay, I accept that, and I accept everything that comes with that. Boom. But that doesn't mean that, hey, listen, you know, me and you being cool, like, that's just dead because of that. That's how I feel. If he comes back and apologizes, I'm gonna be like, no, don't apologize because you felt that way. Was it real? Did you really genuinely feel that way? If so, cool. Let it rock. Don't worry about it. It is what it is. Because a lot of times we come back and we say sorry for things that we fucking meant. Why are you saying sorry for shit that you meant? Like, I had to stop doing that myself because I was just like, I meant to say that. I meant to do that. Like, maybe I'm sorry for the reaction, but at the same time, there are consequences for people's actions. There's consequences for my actions, my decisions. So there's consequences for what I said to him and the way I said it and how I handled the situation. And that's the consequence. He stormed out of the office, and then, you know, he was like, you know, like, you know how you make your hands like somebody's flapping their gums type deal, like you just talking. So he did that, and I'm like, I just laughed, and I was like, all right, bro, all right, cool. Because if that's what happens, if that's in a sense the type of person he is, which I kind of already knew because I seen him handle other people, and I've always I always think to myself, like, listen, man, if this is how he's talking about so and so, I can only imagine what he says about me, because I know I'm not perfect. I know I come in late. I know there's certain things I don't do, so on and so forth. Having a position of indifference, things drop. You just don't care as much, and I'm not gonna lie, that is me. So I have to admit that, like, hey, listen, that is who I am, and that's the position I'm in at this job. So with that being said, I can't be sorry if I'm not really sorry, because if I'm sorry, I would change it. And if I don't change it, or if I change in a manner that is not conducive of me being sorry or repenting for my sins, if you will, or what have you, then I'm not fucking sorry. And therefore that means that I'm not sorry for who I am and the things that I've done in this period of time. So the point of it, one, is to vent. The point of it, one, is to vent. And then two, is to say, I can still be cool with the dude. There's certain things I'm not going to do around him. You know, you might want to say one or two things, or not say one or two things, or choose your words wisely, if you will, so you can just avoid the confrontation. Because my whole thing is, in another 2 years, like, I may not even be at that job, you know, paying off debts, again, working the plan, and chilling and understanding, and chilling and working the plan. And also, the part of the plan is paying off debts, and then also getting a home for myself, probably in another state, depending on, like, you know, how everything goes with work, and maybe developing another business that I'm working on. So it's like, a lot of this thing is like, I feel indifferent towards it, and I have to say, like, I'm not going to be in a confrontation with this guy about this stuff. Like I said, like, talking about inviting certain things to your life, like, you don't need to invite certain struggles, or you don't need to invite certain ways of thought, or issues with people. You just don't need to invite it. And I guess I could say I invited it unbeknownst to me, but now it's like, okay, I'm gonna close my door to that and put my distance between me and that type of confrontation. I mean, if I doubt he'll say sorry about it or anything like that, or apologize, which is fine, because that means you meant it. And then if that's how it is, then cool. Like, you meant that. I'll just have to accept it and move on from there. I look at situations like this, and it shows a little bit of growth on my part. One, being able to talk about things like this. You know, there's people that do listen to you know, when I put these videos out, but a lot of it is just like me, you know, venting and trying to understand and learn more about myself through talking, and even getting, you know, feedback from the comment section and stuff like that. You know, shout out to the people that listen, Kill Deuce, Grinch the Gladiator. There's another young gentleman, and he does like a lot. It seems like he does a lot of like spoken word motivational stuff, and I meant to say something about that on the comment section of the last video. Definitely should check out his channel. You can see it's a person that's really into introspection, and I'm definitely a part of that too. I'm definitely with that, and this is all a part of that process, is the part of the introspection and looking inside and saying, all right, man, this is what's going on. This is how I feel. This is how I think. And this is how I want to handle X, Y, and Z. And I feel that there's a bit of growth, because now I'm like, you know, I meant what I said. I'm not gonna. Usually, I would go back and say sorry, and that's been detrimental to my mental health in some ways, because I really wasn't sorry, and I only said sorry to alleviate the situation, to placate the person, and say, to get back on their good side, and and not fall out of favor with that person. And nowadays, it's like, not to say I don't care, and it's not to say I don't care about the situation, because I think he's been a good person, and I know he's always been like this, and this is how he is. I'm not really gonna trip, because it's like, I'm not surprised, but I have to say, like, it shows signs of growth within me, and like I actually like it. Just looking at the situation, is like, yeah, that could have escalated, but I also, instead of just trying to like make myself overly right and anything like that, there's one or two times where I played into that, like, yo, listen, but this and this and this, that, and then when you see that the person's like, no, man, that's bullshit, or they don't believe it, or they don't believe, you just say, all right, cool, man, I feel you, all right, cool, no biggie. I'm not worried about it. You mad? No problem. Cool. And then, not antagonizing the person and be like, oh, you mad? Like, I just laughed it off, because it was just like, all right, that's how you feel, bro. I feel you. Can't do nothing about it. So it's not to really even talk trash about the person either. It's really just to say, listen, man, I'm not going to forget what this person has, in a sense, done for me, done with me, helped me out in the past. And I think that's important, that even when we get into these back and forth with people that we work with on a regular basis, talk to, that we can always remember who they were, in a sense, or the vision that we had, the perspective that we had, who they were in your mind, and then who they are, like, oh, okay, this is the person that helped me, like, that covered for me on this day, that did this, so on and so forth. Whether he felt a certain way and said certain things otherwise, it doesn't matter. It's the actions, not just the words, the actions, and it's just like, I can't forget that, and I'm not going to easily forget that. So it's like, yo, listen, if you wanna be cool and we can still talk, then cool. I'll still talk with you, man. No problem. I'll show you these YouTube videos that I learn more about and I think are cool, so on and so forth. Like, but that doesn't, if I lose it, then I could always say, hey, listen, not that it can be replaced, but okay. It's lost. It came to an end. And it also came to an end by my hands, by my mouth, my mindset. Things that I said. I caused this. But then also there's just taking accountability for my part that I played in it. But then also understanding that the other person is accountable as well. Meaning that, hey, this person could have handled it differently. They could have said, hey, listen, Mike, just this, and like, just admit this, and like, you were wrong or something like that. And then I could have said, nah, I wasn't really wrong, but I see your perspective and I understand it. How can I maybe even make amends for it? Like, I probably could have handled it that way. But then, it's just like, was the chance even there? And if the chance was there, how would I have taken it? And these are the things that you explore when you have moments of introspection, when you're thinking about a problem. And I could be in my head like I used to be, where it's just like, man, fuck that, making that person out to be the bad guy. Like, fuck that person. I know he always be talking shit about me, and I know he feels this way, so on and so forth. Or I could be like, yeah, man, this is what I did in this situation. This is how he reacted in this situation. And let's weigh that on the scale of the relationship I have with this person as a coworker and a friend. Let's weigh, does this one incident outweigh everything else? And that's the same way you got to look at it when you're even dealing with personal relationships, whether it be like, with a significant other, a long-term friend, maybe somebody that's a confidant or what have you. Like even my sister, I've had a long-term, like, hey, listen, man, you, like, I think it's been like a year or two where I just haven't really talked, no, over a year, that I haven't really talked to her because of something simple, but it was just like, yo, listen, I love you, but I don't like you anymore. So if I don't like you, then, hey, listen, all right, cool, yeah, I'll say hi when I see you. I'm not going to be overly disrespectful, but I'm not going to sit down and have a conversation with you because I've seen things that have just, over the years, these are problems that we've had, and then this is how you act towards it. At some point, you got to leave it alone. And you got to let it go. So it's like, even with this incident, I got to weigh it that way too. I just don't think it's going to be something as serious where it's just like, yeah, screw it. I'm not talking with this guy no more. No. It's just going to be like, oh, okay, hey, listen, this is this. Here you go over here. Boom. All right, cool, man. Don't worry about it. Not like we really hung out before anyway, so it's just like, is it really a detriment? Do I need it? Do I need that as like in a sense, do I need that as like some type of person to talk to, a bond, if you will, a relationship, if you will? Do I need the relationship? And then even at this point right now where I'm talking through this thing is like, am I talking myself out of it? Am I talking myself away from it? Am I cutting this tie before I even have a chance to even possibly mend it? What's going to happen next week when he shifts out? Like when we shift out, like, is it going to be the same thing? Are we going to have the same back and forth? What are we looking at? So, kind of lost the train of thought a little bit because I just started exploring some stuff here towards the end of this. But to sum it up, really, it's just you have these incidents with people and then you really have to weigh it and say, okay, this is how this happened, this is how this worked, and weigh it accordingly with everything else that's happened. And is it worth it to keep it? Are we even approaching a point where you're thinking about not keeping it? And looking at yourself and how you feel about the situation, and taking accountability for your actions in it, and then also saying, hey, listen, it's a shared interaction, but is it an interaction that you want to continue? Do you continue it on the same way like nothing happened? Do you do this? Do you do that? How do you handle it? Did you mean what you said? Because if you take it back and apologize, then are you apologizing because you want to stay on someone's good side, stay within their graces? Or are you apologizing because you really felt sorry about it? And sometimes, and I have to look back at the way I used to react to certain things. Sometimes I apologized not because I was actually sorry, not because I actually meant it, just because I wanted to maintain favor with that person and look like I was in such a good light. And now as I get older, I'm 34 now, and I'm just looking at this and I'm like, it's okay. It's okay not to be in favor with everybody. Really accepting the whole you can't please everybody mantra. As always, thanks for listening, and listen, man, chill and work your plan, and speak things into existence in terms of what you want to do with your life, and also how you want to actually handle relationships in your life and interactions with others and things like that. As always, thank you for listening. Peace.